Action. Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm here today to give you a visual description of an abstract painting. And this series of videos that I'm going to do during the lockdown for the coronavirus pandemic is about making, in particular, abstract paintings visible, especially to those who cannot see them through either the lockdown, or they are visually impaired, or they actually can't even get their head around abstract paintings. So I'm going to describe them, describe their colours, describe the atmosphere, describe the texture without actually talking about the colour, which I'm not trained in this. I am a painter, but I'm going to try anyway. So on with the show. I hope it's fun, entertaining, educational, and transportational. The painting I'm chosen today is called Untitled. And the reason why I chose it is because it is a complicated painting. It's from 1960 and it's by Joan Michell. It's big. It's 2.50 meters by 2 meters roughly, which is essentially 4 front doors wide, but on its end because it's in portrait rather than landscape orientation. It's multicolored, textured work, very, very abstract, very, very painterly, and I'm going to try and describe it now. So the main colour in this painting is a blue like the ocean. And what I mean by that is that it's the ocean or the sea that is almost in turmoil. It's very deep. And I would say that it is set in the evening because it has a kind of a richness to it and an excitement about it. And it's cool. It's not high summer. This background color that is of the ocean it feels to me much more like October or maybe May. And the texture is it's like putting your hands in a bag of Lego. And all those Lego bricks are dancing around your fingertips, all of your fingertips. There's that much texture going on with this colour. And in between the Lego bricks are other things happening, other marks, you know, which are painterly and scratchy and edgy and patchy, really energetic, buzzing in between the Lego bricks on all this ocean. And these blues, which are, you know, like the ocean, are juxtaposed next to wine and little fragments of chili and tinier fragments like Smarties, different tastes, little tiny sections. There's a peppermint in there, which is, you know, onomatopoeic. There is a kind of peppermint feeling. It's a cool, refreshing dash. It's just a single dash on this, only the size of your thumb, towards the top of this large painting. But you really, really see it. You really taste it. You can really feel it. But it is buried in between and on top of all these other textures, a myriad of textures and lines and dribbles that are the colour of bone, and it feels like bone, like a rib bone, and with no flesh on it. It's very dry, kind of skeleton lines just splashed on top of this ocean blue. And then you have these kind of rose petals smudged and smashed and dancing around this kind of this background ocean. And at the edges of the canvas, they disappear. You know, it is like all sound going. It is like a car going down the road and going out of earshot, and just fading into nothing. And that kind of happens at the edges of this painting. This ocean, which is a cacophony of information in the middle, disappears at the sides, to be left with only small smudges, like smoke, like wisps, or like you're just catching a scent at the edge of your on the periphery of all of your senses. And on the left hand side, it's the little wisps of smoke that are this kind of empty void. You know, you can just sense the smell of sand, or maybe old cut grass. And then on the right, it's similar, but there are just these tiny little echoes of a clear sky going on. But at the edges of this painting, there is it dissipates. The center area of this painting, from top to bottom, however, is this ocean, with a whole load of lily pads going on top of it. Not actual lily pads, but speckles of color, and broken marks and lines. You know, layers and layers. It is like a garden. And what I mean by that is when you go into a garden and you have certain flowers that are taller than other flowers and in different feelings with different scents, and the hot reds, which are like chilies, and the aubergines, which are like iris, but with the taste of red wine. And this flits side by side across the painting, and becomes darker and lighter. It flits between being twilight and being in a crowd, or being quiet in twilight and then being in a noisy crowd on the high street. It flits between that. There are pockets. There's not much space in between these pockets either. It is very much like, oh, it's really, really busy, and oh, it's quite cool and calm there. And you're pushed around in between those two zones often as you travel across this painting. There are slashes of a colour which I could describe as when you put your tongue on a battery. One of those things I used to do as a kid, because I was obviously insane, and you get a little zing. I do not recommend putting your tongue on a battery, so do not do that. But there are these zingy kind of static shots of colour all the way through this painting, and those colours are zesty and zingy and rich. They're peppermints. They are toffee colours, so that lovely caramel creaminess that you feel when you suck on a toffee. Towards the bottom of the painting, you've got a corner which is like a really, really delicate rose. When you put your nose in a rose, and it's really tickling the edge of your nose. They are that delicate. However, they are slopped on like spaghetti bolognese. So it's quite an interesting idea to think of a sloppy bolognese, but with the sensitivity of an antique rose with soft petals. At the very bottom of the canvas, you have about 2 inches, maybe 3 inches, I'm not quite sure. That is like the beginning of a rainstorm. You have thousands and thousands of little tiny specks, little tiny drops of colour. And it feels like a waterfall, or no, it is like just the beginning of a rainstorm, and you can hear each of those droplets happening, like a glockenspiel, and each of them are a different note, each of them are a different feeling, a different taste, and they are like a bag of jewels, but they are sprawled across the floor. And that makes up the bottom 1 inch. There's a band across the bottom 1 inch. Through the whole painting, there are drips, slow, unctuous, rich drips coming from the way she has put paint on generously. It is like, absolutely like ice cream that drips down the cone and onto your hand. And in between those, you have these dynamic, dry brushstrokes that reach out into the corners of the painting and dissipate into the ocean in the middle of the painting. So what I'm trying to paint here for you, literally, is this complicated, difficult painting that is a rich menagerie of textures and colours, and there is no form to it, or rather the form is the central distance of this ocean in turmoil, or this kind of sapphire. And it was one of my favourite paintings, not that I've come across it before today, because it is a party. It's a party on a canvas, and it's happy and entertaining, but it is not tacky. It is very sophisticated. It's not cliche. It is a zany eccentric who is worthy of respect, I suppose. Maybe that's a metaphor too far, but I think that's about it, really. What do you think? Bye.